Hey, good morning again, everybody. So a little bit more on this heater control. I kind of broke into it a little bit, and I'll take you through a couple of things that I wanted to get after and switch out, and then some issues I ran into. I'm trying to spend a little bit more time on this particular piece because it's a little bit more involved, and I think it's some of the pieces where folks may not understand what they have to do when they make this upgrade on the, I'm going to call it the heater control unit. When you come over here, first of all, one of the problems I had with the current one that I had in my car, you can kind of see how the plastic piece had been all kind of shattered and tattered, and so I had ordered one of those in anticipation of this job from National Parts Depot, our good friends over at MPD, and they sent me a new one. But to open the casing up, I'll call it, for the bezel plate, you have to go after these tines right here that you'll see, and you can see it's old, it was brittle, I broke a couple of them off. Luckily, you can see I was able to snap it back together. This unit, if you have to buy it, I believe retails for about $160 on NPD's site. So be careful. Again, I'm not doing my off-frame restoration for another 5 to 6 years, which is where I'll address a lot of this. I did take the unit though and try to clean it up with some brake cleaner as best I could. And also I'm going to lubricate these levers and such with some WD-40. So here's the switch piece that was actually on the head unit, and then the swap out was merely taking the 2 screws from this here that you can see, and then mounting the 2 screws that came with it. One is up in there, so that the location on that one was pretty tough to get after. It turns out that was I ended up using an 8mm. I didn't have a standard wrench big enough for that, so but I believe the standard size, those are 1/4 inch. But it's almost impossible to get in there. You're definitely not going to get in there with a socket. So I got those put in, and then you can see there are new pieces that slide over, almost like the existing arms here that came on with the car originally. One thing to note, this piece here was actually in there, and then I couldn't get this over this, so finally I just realized, oh yeah, you have to take that off. That wasn't in the instructions, so I believe we're just going to ditch that. And then they supply you with these push caps to go over that. So that gets our control mechanism, and then again this kind of works now seamlessly with the switch. Now you can see the finished product too. This looks much cleaner. They're actually supposed to give you via Classic Auto Air a sticker to put over here that makes sense for what this is going to do, because this is going to apply somewhat but not all the way for the new AC control unit. I'm talking about the actual callouts on the sticker that's currently on there. The sticker that they're supposed to come with the kit did not come with the kit, and you can see this here in their package was not in there, and that kind of lines up to what it's going to do. I kind of like the original, but this didn't come with it, but I was going to use it, but it's not there. And it actually has the Classic Auto Air logo on it, so that would have been on it as well. So I was kind of torn between using that or not using it, and then they kind of saved me the trouble and didn't include it in this bag kit A that I had. So I will call Gary and the folks over at Classic Auto Air on Monday and let them know again that maybe there needs to be an adjustment made or update to the installation, and that did not come with it. So the next step is to get the mode and temp control pieces put on. Now what they do is they include these little brass wire handlers, I'll call them, so you just fit that over and that goes in the existing hole and uses the existing screw that came with it. So I put one on, and then if you flip it over you can kind of see how it also goes on to the existing switch knob, and you can see how that works here. And then this opposite end will end up plugging into the Classic Auto Air main body or evaporator unit, I'll call it, that goes underneath the dash. So let's go ahead and put the other one on so you can kind of see what that is like. And what we'll do is we'll take it the same way, and it goes over the top this way and over this, so we'll hook it on, and then we'll come around here, flip it over, and then we'll grab one of our screws. And what I've done is I like to use these nut drivers. Get this correct. I think I'm upside down here. Try that again. Now we'll take these here and we'll take we have a couple of supplied nut caps, and we'll put it on these to retain them so they don't fall off, and they just simply push on. Show you what those look like right here. And I put those on by hand, and then I'll use a screwdriver or the needle nose to finish those off to make sure they're on nice and snug and secure, keeping those cables on. That one's giving me a little bit of a hard time, so I might have to use the needle nose with those. One thing to note with the needle nose as well, if you try pulling these knobs off here, depending on how old your car is, that may be kind of a bear. So I did some research on first gen Firebird site again, and I had an individual talking about modifying his needle nose. So, just putting some tape on them and then getting underneath them and rocking them off. And that's actually what I had to do. So those can be a bear to get off. I would suggest, in anticipation, like I did, I bought a bunch of parts, knowing I may have to replace some. I probably should have bought those 3 set of those knobs just in case you break them. And then MPD is really good. If you don't use it and you keep the bag closed, they'll give you your money back for parts unused. So I'll be taking advantage of some of that as well. So basically, that's your heater control unit. It's in a good place now, and we're really close to getting that ready and moving on to the next step. And we'll reference our documentation. And our next step, we're going to have to be, first of all, we're going to go inside the car and start vacuuming up, cleaning up all the dirt and debris inside the car from the rip out of everything yesterday. And we've got a nice dash pad that we bought, firewall pad that'll go along the length of the firewall. And we've got to get that mounted before we can actually put the evaporator unit and box in there. But some of the things we're going to be doing next as well, classic auto wear instructions, got us putting all the block off plates on and some of those pieces. So we'll show you what that looks like here shortly.